The deep hum of the UES Valkyrie's engines was the only sound in the command center as Captain Alan Reeves stared at the report on his screen. His face grew pale. 5 human outposts along the Perseus Arm had gone silent in the past 2 weeks. No distress calls, no warnings, just silence. How many people? He asked, his voice low. Commander Lisa Bell, his second-in-command, checked her tablet. Almost 3,000 colonists, sir. Earth Command thinks it might be technical failures, but 5 outposts at once. Not likely, Alan said, rising from his chair. He was tall with broad shoulders, his dark blue uniform crisp despite being 18 hours into his shift. 20 years in Earth's space fleet had left lines around his eyes and gray at his temples, but his gaze remained sharp. Show me the pattern again. The main screen lit up with a star map. The 5 silent outposts blinked red, forming a clear line through human space. Whatever this is, it's moving with purpose, Alan said. And the Galactic Council claims they know nothing? Lisa nodded. Their official statement says no council species has reported unusual activity in that sector. Alan didn't believe that for a second. The Galactic Council, a coalition of 12 advanced alien civilizations, had never fully welcomed humans to their ranks. Humanity had pushed into space too quickly, expanded too eagerly. The Council tolerated them, but trust was in short supply. Captain, called Lieutenant Samantha Wright from her station. Sam was younger than most of the bridge crew, with short brown hair and intense focus that had earned her the position of tactical officer despite her age. Incoming transmission from Outpost Sigma 7, they're under attack. Alan's head snapped up. Put it on screen. Alert all hands to battle stations. The message was broken and filled with static. A woman's face appeared, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. This is Dr. Kelly Adams of Outpost Sigma 7. We are under attack by unknown forces. They've breached the main hull. They're taking people. They're taking them alive. Oh God, they're coming through the transmission cut off. Distance to Sigma 7? Alan demanded. 2 hours at maximum jump speed, sir, the navigator responded. Plot the course. All crew to battle stations. This is not a drill. Alan's voice echoed through the ship as red alert lights flashed. We're going in hot. The Valkyrie was the newest ship in Earth's fleet, built for both science and war. As Alan felt the familiar pull of jump acceleration, he hoped they wouldn't arrive too late. 2 hours later, the Valkyrie emerged from jump space near Outpost Sigma 7. The scene before them made even veteran crew members gasp. The outpost, once a proud research station built into a small moon, now had a gaping hole torn through its center. Debris floated in silent clouds around it, but most disturbing were the unfamiliar ships still docked at various points. Dark vessels with strange organic curves that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Life signs? Alan asked, his voice tight. Faint readings from within the station, sir. Maybe 50 people. The outpost should have over 400, Sam reported. And those ships? Unknown design. No match in our databases. But they're giving off energy signatures similar to what we've detected at the other silent outposts. Alan made his decision quickly. Prepare boarding teams. Full combat gear. I want our people back. 30 minutes later, Alan led the first team through the ruined halls of Sigma 7. The air was thin, emergency systems barely functioning. Bodies floated in zero gravity, some showing signs of weapons fire, others appearing strangely untouched. They found survivors barricaded in the medical bay, led by Dr. Adams from the transmission. Her face was pale with shock. Captain, she whispered when they removed their helmets inside the pressurized room. They weren't killing us. They were collecting us, like specimens. Who were they? Alan asked gently. They called themselves the Krajar, insect-like. Multiple limbs. They spoke through devices that translated their clicks into words. She shuddered. Their leader said humans were suitable specimens for their work. They took everyone who didn't fight back immediately, packed them into pods on their ships. Sam, who had accompanied the boarding party, paled visibly. 6 months ago, her brother had been stationed at one of the now silent outposts. Dr. Adams, she asked, her voice strained, Did they say anything about the other outposts? About what happens to the people they take? The doctor nodded slowly. One of them said the harvest had been good. That human genetic material was compatible with their needs. While medical teams evacuated the survivors to the Valkyrie, Sam discovered an intact data core. Back on the ship, she worked furiously to decode it, barely stopping to eat or sleep. 18 hours later, she requested an urgent meeting with the captain. The Krajar aren't unknown, she said, circles under her eyes as she played a recovered transmission. The Galactic Council has been tracking them for months. This is from a Council security vessel that visited Sigma-7 just 2 weeks ago. The BAW recording showed a Council official speaking with the outpost's director. The reports of unusual ship movements are noted, but not a concern. Continue your work, Director. The Council ensures your safety. They knew, Alan said, his hands forming fists. They knew something was coming and they didn't warn us. There's more, Sam said quietly. I found coordinates embedded in their communications. I think I know where they're taking our people. Alan stood up. Send everything to Earth Command, then plot a course for those coordinates. Sir, Sam hesitated. Standard protocol when encountering new hostile species is to attempt communication, offer terms of surrender, take prisoners for information gathering. Alan looked at the images of the ruined outpost on his screen, then at Sam, seeing the fear for her brother in her eyes. Lieutenant Wright, let me make something perfectly clear. These Krajar took our people. The Council betrayed us. We're going to find those ships and we're going to bring our people home. His voice grew hard. As of this moment, we have new rules of engagement. Log this in the official record. When aliens take human prisoners, human ships don't take prisoners in return. We're going to make that lesson very clear. As the Valkyrie jumped toward the coordinates, alarm signals spread across human space. Earth Command dispatched every available ship to join them. Humanity had been pushed too far. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans went to war. The message from Earth Command appeared on Captain Alan Reeves's private screen. Admiral Patricia Dawson's face was grim, her gray hair pulled back tightly, eyes hard. Your report has been reviewed by Joint Command, Captain. The evidence of Council deception is troubling. She leaned closer to the camera. We're issuing new directives to all Earth vessels. The Krajar are to be engaged with extreme prejudice. No diplomatic protocols, no prisoners. Alan nodded, feeling a cold certainty settle in his chest. What about the Council? We're maintaining official communications, but sharing nothing of substance. Trust has been broken. The Admiral's jaw tightened. We're assembling a fleet. Operation Redemption. The Valkyrie will be our vanguard while the rest catch up. Find our people, Captain. Bring them home. Yes, ma'am. After the transmission ended, Alan called his senior officers to the command deck. They gathered around the central display table where a holographic map showed the coordinates Sam had discovered. This is where we believe the Krajar are taking our people, Alan explained, pointing to a star system near the edge of charted space. It's a 3-day journey at maximum sustainable speed. Lisa studied the map with concern. That's well beyond Council territory, no backup out there. We won't be alone for long, Alan assured her. Earth is sending a fleet. But we can't wait. Every hour means more lives at risk. Sir, Sam spoke up, her face pale but determined. I've been analyzing the Krajar ship designs from the attack footage. They have weaknesses. Their hull material is incredibly strong, but their engine systems are vulnerable. She manipulated the display to show a detailed schematic. With some modifications to our targeting systems, we could disable their ships without destroying them. Chief, Engineer Frank Delgado, a stocky man with calloused hands and 20 years of experience, nodded appreciatively. Smart thinking, Lieutenant. We'd need to recalibrate the primary weapon arrays, but it's doable. He turned to Alan. Give my team 12 hours, Captain. We'll make it happen. You have 8, Alan replied. We jump in 9. Far across space, in a laboratory aboard the massive Krajar mothership, Dr. Gregory Nash carefully examined the edge of his metal food tray. The human biologist had been captured 3 weeks ago from Outpost Gamma 12. Since then, he'd been studying his captors as much as they studied him. The Krajar were insectoid, with 6 limbs and complex mouthparts that clicked and whirred as they communicated. Their exoskeletons shimmered with iridescent blues and greens under the harsh laboratory lights. They moved with unsettling speed and precision. Greg had been separated from the other prisoners, placed in a special observation chamber because of his scientific background. The Krajar seemed to value his knowledge, asking him endless questions about human biology. He answered selectively, gathering information while appearing cooperative. When the guards left his evening meal, Greg immediately began working at the small panel near his bed. Over days, he'd loosened it enough to access the wiring beneath. Using the edge of his tray as a tool, he carefully crossed 2 circuits. The result was small but significant, a brief flicker in the security field that separated his chamber from the adjacent one. Enough for whispered words to pass through. "Can you hear me?" he called softly. After a moment, a woman's voice responded. "Yes. Who are you?" "Greg Nash, biologist from Gamma 12. Who am I speaking with?" "June Carter, engineer from Sigma 7. Her voice was strained but steady. "They took us 3 days ago. Are you alone in there?" "No. There are 6 of us. They've been taking people out for testing. Some don't come back." Greg closed his eyes briefly. "June, I need your help. I think I can establish communication between all the prisoner sections, but I need someone with engineering knowledge." Over the next hours, working in short bursts when the guards were absent, Greg and June created a makeshift communication network that spread through the detention level. Soon, hundreds of captured humans could share information. What they learned was horrifying. The Krajar were genetic perfectionists, believing their species was destined to incorporate the best traits of all others. Humans had caught their attention because of our remarkable adaptability and resilience. We weren't just prisoners, we were raw material for their evolution. Back on the Valkyrie, engineering teams worked around the clock to implement Sam's targeting system and Frank's shield. Modifications. The ship hummed with focused energy as everyone prepared for what was coming. In his quarters, Alan reviewed the personnel files of every crew member. 23 had family members among the missing colonists. Sam had her brother. Frank's cousin had been on Sigma 7. This mission was personal for many. When the 8 hours were up, Alan called the entire crew to attention over the ship's communication system. "This is Captain Reeves. In 1 hour we jump to Krajar space. I want to be clear about our mission. We are not going as diplomats. We are not going to negotiate. We are going to bring our people home." His voice was steady, resolved. "Earth has been exploring space for less than a century. In that time, we've sought peaceful relations with all intelligent species. The Galactic Council has mistaken our desire for peace as weakness." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The Krajar and their council allies believe we will follow conventional protocols, offering surrender terms, taking prisoners, negotiating. They're about to learn that when they take our people, human ships don't take prisoners. We're bringing everyone home, and we're sending a message to any species that would threaten humanity. We will not be harvested. We will not be studied. We will not be betrayed without consequence." Throughout the ship, crew members stood straighter, determination hardening their resolve. "Battle stations in 30 minutes, Reeves out." In the final preparations before the jump, Sam approached Alan on the command deck. "Sir, I've received a coded transmission from Earth Fleet. They're 12 hours behind us." She hesitated. "And there's something else. Long-range scans show unusual activity at the coordinates. It's not just Krajar ships. There are energy signatures consistent with Council vessels." Alan's expression darkened. "So they're not even hiding their alliance anymore?" "No, sir. Intelligence suggests we may be jumping into a combined force, significantly larger than anticipated." Lisa, who had overheard, looked concerned. "Should we wait for the fleet?" Alan studied the tactical display, then shook his head. "Every hour costs lives. We proceed as planned." He turned to his officers. "Inform all hands. This won't be the clean operation we hoped for, but nothing changes our objective. As the Valkyrie's engines powered up for the jump, Alan stared at the view screen showing the star field ahead. Somewhere out there, thousands of humans waited for rescue, unaware that help was coming. Behind them, Earth prepared for war. The Valkyrie leapt into jump space, a lone human ship hurtling toward a hostile force, carrying with it humanity's answer to those who would make them prey. The Valkyrie burst out of jump space into chaos. Captain Alan Reeves gripped his command chair as the ship's alarms blared. Before them lay the Epsilon Vega system, a binary star with a massive asteroid belt, and within that field, a trap waited. Multiple ships detected. Sam called out, her voice tight. Krajar vessels, at least 12, and confirming council signatures, 5 ships, heavy cruiser class. Alan's jaw clenched. They were expecting us. Lisa stepped closer to the tactical display. Sir, they've positioned themselves throughout the asteroid field. It's a perfect ambush setup. Weapons range in 40 seconds, Sam reported. Alan studied. The enemy formation. Mind racing. Frank, status on shields? The chief engineer's voice came through the comm. Modifications holding, Captain. We should be able to take their initial volleys, but I can't promise for how long. Sam, is your targeting system ready? Yes, sir. Locked and loaded. Alan took a deep breath, then addressed the entire bridge. They think they know what we're going to do. Standard Earth fleet procedure would be to halt, establish communication, offer terms. His eyes hardened. We're not doing any of that. Initiate protocol thermopylae. Throughout the ship, crews moved with practiced precision as the battle plan unfolded. Protocol Thermopylae, named after an ancient Earth battle where a small force held off a much larger one, was a desperate strategy designed for exactly this situation. Helm, full burn toward the largest concentration. Weapons, target the lead Krajar vessel with Sam's modified systems. All hands brace for impact. The Valkyrie surged forward, catching the enemy by surprise. They had expected caution, hesitation. Instead, the human ship charged directly into the center of their formation. The first enemy shots flared against the Valkyrie's enhanced shields. The bridge shook, but the shields held. Return fire, Alan ordered. The Valkyrie's weapons lashed out, striking the nearest Krajar ship precisely where Sam had identified their vulnerability. The alien vessel didn't explode. Instead, its engines sputtered and died, leaving it drifting. Direct hit, Sam exclaimed. Their propulsion is offline, but life support appears intact. Alan nodded grimly. Continue on course. Prepare boarding. Teams. As they pushed deeper into the asteroid field, the battle grew more intense. The Valkyrie shuddered under repeated impacts, but Frank's modifications were working. The shields absorbed punishment that would have crippled the ship otherwise. The council ships tried to coordinate with the Krajar, but Alan's unexpected tactics threw them into confusion. Instead of engaging in a traditional ship-to-ship battle, the Valkyrie performed a series of micro-jumps, extremely short, faster-than-light bursts that were dangerous but nearly impossible to track. Jump complete, the navigator announced after the third such maneuver. Where are they? Alan demanded. Enemy fleet is scattered, sir. They're struggling to regroup. Alan allowed himself a small smile. Fire on the closest Krajar vessel. Within 20 minutes, 3 Krajar ships drifted powerless. Marine teams in combat suits launched from the Valkyrie, using small assault craft to board the disabled vessels. Sergeant Kate Weber led the first team. The stocky Marine had been a colony defender before joining the fleet. She moved with quiet confidence as her team cut through the alien hull. Remember, she told her squad as they prepared to breach, these bastards took our people. We find the prisoners first, then secure the ship. The Marines burst into the Krajar vessel, weapons ready. The interior was strange, organic curves, mixed with metal, dimly lit with a bluish glow. The air smelled faintly of ammonia. They encountered resistance immediately. The Krajar were formidable fighters, their multiple limbs wielding weapons with deadly efficiency. But the Marines had trained for this, moving in tight formation, covering each other with disciplined fire. Detention level should be 2 decks down, Kate said, checking her scanner. Move out. Aboard the Krajar mothership, alarms howled. Greg Nash felt the massive vessel shudder as weapons fired. Through the improvised communication network, word spread rapidly among the prisoners. Something's happening, June said, her voice hushed but hopeful. The guards are panicking. Greg pressed his face close to the small gap they'd created in the security field. This is our chance. If Earth has found us, we need to help from the inside. He had been working on a plan for days, waiting for any opportunity. June, can you get the message to Section 4? They have access to a maintenance conduit. Throughout the detention level, captured humans began implementing the plan they had developed during their covert communications. Using tools they had hidden, skills they had shared, they prepared to strike. When a group of agitated Krajar guards entered the detention level, they found their prisoners sitting quietly in their cells. They didn't notice the small devices Greg had constructed from scavenged parts, hidden in ventilation systems throughout the level. Greg waited until the main guard patrol passed, then activated his device. A surge of electromagnetic energy rippled through the detention level systems, temporarily disrupting the power grid. For 3 crucial seconds, the security fields flickered. It was enough. Hundreds of prisoners burst from their cells simultaneously, overwhelming the unprepared guards. The humans had few weapons beyond improvised tools in their own hands, but they had something the Krajar hadn't expected: coordination and a plan. Back in the battle, the Valkyrie continued its assault, disabling Krajar ships one by one. The Council vessels maintained their distance, seemingly unsure how to respond to these unexpected tactics. On the bridge, Sam monitored the boarding team's progress. Sergeant Weber reports 28 prisoners recovered from the first vessel, sir. Second team has found 42 on their target. Third boarding in progress. Allen nodded, relief mixing with determination. Any sign of larger detention facilities? Yes, sir. Prisoners from both ships confirmed they were transferred from a central processing point, the mothership. Sam highlighted an enormous vessel near the center of the asteroid field, surrounded by defensive ships. That's where most of our people will be. Lisa studied the tactical display with concern. Sir, the Council ships are moving. They appear to be taking up positions around the disabled Krajar vessels. Allen's eyes narrowed. What are they doing? The answer came moments later as one of the Council ships fired directly at a disabled Krajar vessel, the very one where Kate's team was still extracting prisoners. They're trying to destroy the evidence, Allen realized, anger flooding through him. All power to engines. Get us between those ships, now! The Valkyrie surged forward, shields flaring as it absorbed fire meant for the disabled ship. The Council vessel, surprised by the human ship's speed and determination, attempted to veer away. Open a channel, Allen ordered, his voice cold. When the connection established, he didn't wait for the Council representative to speak. This is Captain Alan Reeves of the Earth vessel Valkyrie. Your actions make your complicity clear. Be advised. Any further attempts to fire on disabled vessels will be considered an act of war against Earth. We are recovering our people. Stand down or be treated as hostile. Without waiting for a response, Allen turned to Sam. Target their weapon systems. Show them we mean business. As the Valkyrie's weapons struck the Council ship with surgical precision, a new alert sounded. Captain, Sam called out, excitement in her voice. I'm detecting a massive power fluctuation on the Krajar mothership, and her eyes widened. Multiple emergency launches from their detention level. Those are escape pods. On the main screen, they watched as dozens of small craft ejected from the massive mothership. Scanning life signs, Sam continued. They're human, sir. It's our people. A transmission cut through the chaos, a man's voice crackling with static. This is Dr. Gregory Nash to any Earth vessel. We've taken control of the detention level. Repeat, prisoners have control of the detention level, requesting immediate extraction. For the first time since the mission began, Alan Reeves allowed himself a genuine smile. Tell Dr. Nash the cavalry has arrived. The Valkyrie's hangar bay was chaos as escape pods and rescue shuttles arrived. Medical teams rushed to treat injured prisoners while security monitored for any Krajar who might have slipped aboard. Captain Alan Reeves stood at the entrance, watching as his people brought home the captured colonists. A Marine team escorted Dr. Gregory Nash directly to the captain. The biologist looked thin and tired, with a badly healed cut across his forehead, but his eyes were alert and determined. "Dr. Nash," Alan said, extending his hand, "you've done something remarkable. Your escape plan saved hundreds of lives." Greg shook the captain's hand firmly. "We had to be ready when rescue came. I never doubted Earth would find us." He glanced around the busy hangar. "How many ships do we have?" "Just the Valkyrie for now. The fleet is 12 hours behind us." Greg's expression darkened. "We need to act before then. The Krajar mothership contains data that proves everything. The Council's betrayal, the genetic harvesting program, all of it. They'll destroy it if they can." Alan nodded. "I've already sent Engineer Delgado to prepare a team. We're going after their database." While medical teams continued processing the rescued prisoners, Frank Delgado led a specialized group to prepare for the most dangerous mission yet, boarding the Krajar mothership to extract their central database. Frank was not a soldier but a builder, with hands that could coax life from dying machines. He selected 4 of his best engineers and 3 of Sergeant Weber's Marines for the mission. "The mothership systems are unlike anything we've encountered," he explained as they gathered in the briefing room. "Our normal data extraction won't work. We'll need to physically remove their storage units." Sam joined them, bringing detailed scans of the mothership. Dr. Nash provided the location of their central data core. "It's here, 3 levels below the command center. The good news is that prisoner uprising has thrown their security into disarray. The bad news is they're likely to destroy everything, rather than let us have it." Kate Weber checked her weapon. "My team will get you there, keep you alive, and get you out. Simple as that." Frank smiled grimly. "Nothing's ever simple." The small team departed in a stealth shuttle, approaching the mothership from its underside where battle damage provided a point of entry. The massive vessel continued firing at the Valkyrie, apparently unaware of the small craft attaching to its hull. Inside the mothership, they encountered a ship in turmoil. Alarms blared as Krajar crews rushed to battle stations or tried to contain the prisoner uprising. Using the confusion as cover, Frank's team moved swiftly through the strange corridors. At one junction, they encountered 3 Krajar guards. Kate and her Marines moved with practiced efficiency, neutralizing the threat before it could alert others. "This way," Frank said, consulting the map Sam had prepared. 2 more levels down. They descended through an access shaft, the air growing warmer and carrying the faint smell of ozone. When they reached the data core level, they found it sealed with a heavy security door. "Can you open it?" Kate asked. Frank studied the alien control panel. "Not quickly, and they'll know we're here the moment I try." One of the Marines pointed to a maintenance hatch nearby. "What about through there?" The narrow passage proved just wide enough for humans to squeeze through. They emerged inside the data center, a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with light. No Krajar were present, but automated systems hummed with activity. "This is incredible," Frank whispered, approaching the nearest data column. "It's biological and mechanical at once. The data is stored in living crystal." "How do we extract it?" Kate asked, keeping watch at the door. Frank examined the central control station. "We can't take it all. We need to find the specific files about the human experiments and the Council connection." Working quickly, Frank and his engineers interfaced their equipment with the alien technology. Years of studying various alien systems gave them a foundation, but this was unlike anything they'd seen before. "I think I've found it," one of the engineers said after tense minutes. "This cluster contains all transmissions between the Krajar and the Council for the past standard year." Frank connected a data crystal. "Start the transfer, and look for any files related to human biology." As they worked, Kate's comm unit crackled. Extraction team, this is Valkyrie. Be advised, we're detecting energy surges throughout the mothership. They may be preparing to scuttle. Frank's hands moved faster. We need 5 more minutes. You have 3, Kate replied, gesturing for her Marines to prepare for exit. The transfer was at 60% when the first explosion rocked the ship. The Krajar were destroying their own vessel rather than let it be captured. We have to go, Kate insisted. Almost there, Frank replied, eyes fixed on the progress indicator. 80%, 90. Another explosion closer this time. Part of the ceiling collapsed, crushing one of the crystal columns. Complete. Frank yanked the data crystal free. Let's move. Their escape was a harrowing race against the mothership's progressive destruction. Twice they had to find alternate routes as passageways collapsed or filled with fire. One of the engineers was injured by falling debris, requiring a Marine to carry him. When they finally reached their shuttle, the mothership was breaking apart around them. Frank strapped in beside the pilot while Kate secured the injured engineer. Get us out of here, Frank ordered. The shuttle pulled away just as a massive explosion tore through the section they had left. Behind them, the Krajar mothership began to split apart, secondary explosions chaining through its massive structure. Back on the Valkyrie, Captain Reeves ordered full retreat from the disintegrating mothership. With all rescued prisoners aboard, and Frank's team returning, they had accomplished their mission. In the command center, Alan addressed his officers. The Krajar fleet is in disarray. 2 of their ships have jumped away. The council vessels are maintaining distance but haven't withdrawn. They're deciding whether to attack us directly, Lisa suggested. Let them try, Alan replied. Our shields are holding and Earth's fleet will be here soon. When Frank arrived on the bridge, he held up the data crystal triumphantly. We got it, Captain. Everything we need. Sam took the crystal and connected it to her station. Beginning analysis now. It will take time to translate, but... Her eyes widened as data flowed across her screen. Sir, this is incredible. Not just proof of the Council's involvement, but details of their entire operation. They've been testing multiple species, not just humans. Can you broadcast it? Alan asked. Sam nodded. If we use the Valkyrie's communication array at full power, we can send this across all Galactic Council channels. Every member species would receive it simultaneously. Alan considered for a moment. The implications were enormous. This wasn't just about rescuing human prisoners anymore. This could change the entire power structure of known space. Do it, he ordered. Let every species see what their council has been hiding. As Sam prepared the broadcast, Greg Nash joined them on the bridge. He had cleaned up and changed into a borrowed uniform, but exhaustion still lined his face. Captain, he said quietly, there's something else you should know. During our captivity, I learned the Krajar aren't acting alone. They answer to something, older, something that's been manipulating species against each other for centuries. The Council itself might be just another pawn. Alan frowned. What kind of entity could control the Galactic Council? I don't know, Greg admitted. The Krajar scientists only spoke of it in whispers. They called it the Ancient One. Whatever it is, exposing the Council's actions might force it to reveal itself. Alan looked out at the stars, weighing this new information. If Greg was right, they were stepping into something much bigger than a rescue mission or even an interspecies conflict. Broadcast the data, Sam, he said finally. Whatever comes next, the truth is our strongest weapon. As the Valkyrie transmitted the Krajar database across all Council channels, the Council ships suddenly began powering up their jump drives. They were retreating. They know what we have, Lisa observed. Alan nodded. And they know what happens next. The Council is about to face the judgment of every species they've betrayed. He turned to his communications officer. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have our people and we have the proof. And tell them to prepare, because I think we've just started a galactic revolution. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Epsilon Vega. On Earth, in the Grand Hall of the newly constructed Interstellar Cooperative Headquarters, Captain Alan Reeves straightened his formal uniform. The gold bars of his new rank, Fleet Commander caught the light as he reviewed his notes one final time. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from a dozen different species in orbit around Earth. The galaxy had changed dramatically in the past year, and humanity stood at the center of that change. Lisa Bell, now captain of the Valkyrie, approached him with a smile. "The delegates are ready, Commander." Alan nodded. "And our guests of honor?" Dr. Nash and Lieutenant Wright are waiting to be introduced. Together they walked into the central chamber where representatives from 17 species had gathered. The old Galactic Council had collapsed within weeks of the Krajar data broadcast. Many council members had been overthrown by their own people when the truth emerged. In its place, the Interstellar Cooperative had formed, a true alliance based on mutual respect and transparency. Admiral Patricia Dawson, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, opened the ceremony. Her voice carried easily through the hall. 1 year ago today, humanity learned that we were not alone in facing betrayal. We discovered that many species had suffered under policies that treated them as resources rather than equals. When we broadcast the truth, we did not seek power. We sought justice. Alan watched the diverse gathering. Some species he recognized, from old council records, the reptilian Vecnar, the crystalline Talari. Others were newcomers who had hidden from council influence and only emerged after its fall. All had been affected by the conspiracy they had uncovered. When Admiral Dawson introduced him, Alan stepped to the podium. The faces that turned toward him were unlike any audience he had addressed before, some with multiple eyes, others with no visible eyes at all. Yet he felt their attention, their respect. "A year ago I commanded a ship with a single mission, to bring our people home," he began. "We discovered something more important than victory. We discovered unity. When the Krajar took human prisoners, they expected our response would follow familiar patterns. What they learned instead was that human ships don't take prisoners. We forge allies." He gestured to where Dr. Gregory Nash sat. The biologist had spent months working with scientists from other species, studying the genetic programs the Krajar had conducted. His findings had revealed horrifying truths, but also remarkable opportunities for healing. Dr. Nash's work has helped us understand not just what was done to us, but what was done to many of you. The Krajar were not simply collectors. They were tools of division, sent to ensure we would never trust each other. The room grew silent as Alan continued. "We now know the Ancient One Dr. Nash first heard mentioned was no myth. The entity known as Zorakthan has manipulated galactic politics for millennia, fostering conflict to prevent united resistance to its influence. By turning species against each other, it maintained control without ever revealing itself." Samantha Wright joined him at the podium. She had been promoted to commander and now led Earth's new Interspecies Intelligence Division. Her grief for her brother had transformed into determination to prevent similar tragedies. "Commander Wright will now present our findings on Zorakthan's current activities and our joint response strategy," Alan said, stepping aside. Sam activated the holographic display, showing a distant region of space beyond the old council territories. For the past 6 months, our combined fleets have tracked Zorakthan's movements to this system. We believe it retreated when its Krajar agents failed and the council collapsed. It is gathering forces preparing to reassert control. She looked across the assembly with calm confidence. We once fought alone, each species isolated by carefully cultivated mistrust. Today we have the largest combined fleet in known history, preparing to ensure Zorakthan can never threaten any of our worlds again. After the formal presentations concluded, the delegates moved to the reception area. Alan found himself approached by a Vecnar elder, a being whose species had once been among the most powerful in the old council. "Commander Reeves," the elder said, voice translator converting his hissing speech to understandable words. "My people were among those who looked down on humans as newcomers. We believed the council warnings that your species was dangerous and unpredictable." The elder's scaled face formed what Alan had learned was a smile. "It seems they were right, but not in the way they intended." Alan accepted the compliment with a nod. "We're still learning how to be good neighbors." "You are learning faster than most," the elder replied. That is why many of us have agreed that a human should command the joint fleet against Zorak-Thon. Alan was surprised. I had not heard this decision. It will be announced tomorrow. The Alliance has chosen you. Later that evening, Alan stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, looking down at Earth. Dr. Nash joined him, carrying 2 glasses. Quite a view, Greg said, handing Alan a drink. Makes everything we went through seem worth it. Alan accepted the glass. Do you ever regret it? Being captured, everything you endured? Greg considered the question seriously. Sometimes. The nightmares haven't stopped. But then I remember what we discovered, what we changed. He gestured to the diverse ships orbiting Earth. For thousands of years, Zorak-Thon kept us separated, fighting each other. Now look at us. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Earth turn below them. Finally, Alan spoke. They've asked me to command the joint fleet. Greg smiled. Of course they did. You showed them something they'd never seen before. A species that would risk everything not just for their own people, but for the truth itself. I'm not sure I'm ready for that responsibility. None of us were ready for any of this, Greg pointed out. But here we are anyway. The next day, in a ceremony broadcast across 17 worlds, Alan accepted command of the first truly interspecies fleet. The massive view screen showed vessels of every shape and design, from the sleek Earth ships to the organic vessels of the Meridian Collective. As he gave his acceptance speech, Alan caught sight of Sam and Greg watching from the side of the stage. They had all been changed by their encounter with the Krajar, by the truths they had uncovered. What had begun as a rescue mission had become something far greater. 1 year ago, we proved that cooperation is stronger than conquest, Alan told the assembled delegates and the billions watching across the stars. When the Krajar and their masters thought they understood humanity, they made a fundamental error. They believed our strength came from our weapons, our technology, our tactics. He looked across the faces of a dozen species, now allies where, once they had been strangers or even enemies. What they failed to understand is that humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to build connections, to find common ground, even with those who seem most different from us. They thought our refusal to take prisoners was a sign of mercilessness. They never understood it was actually a sign of hope. We didn't take prisoners because we believed in something better. We believed in allies. As Alan finished his speech, the assembled ships of the combined fleet began moving into formation. The journey ahead would be challenging, the enemy ancient and powerful. But for the first time in galactic history, they would face it together. The Krajar had learned their lesson the hard way. Human ships don't take prisoners. They forge a future where prisoners are no longer necessary.